from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people. Very excitingly for me and for the country, we've just launched the Trump Gold Card. It was about 30 minutes from now. The site goes up, and all funds go to the United States government. It could be a tremendous amount of money. It'll also be able to have people like this keep, as an example, just one example, there are a lot of examples, people just buying them. It's somewhat like a green card, but with big advantages over a green card. And companies are going to be able to go to the Wharton School of Finance, the Stern Business School, Harvard, MIT, wherever you may get your students, any school, and you're able to buy a card and keep that person in the United States, actually, so there's certainty, because I've heard from Tim Cook of Apple, and I've heard from a lot of people, some of the people at this table, that essentially in the United States you can't keep the student. You can't hire people from the best colleges because you don't know whether or not you can keep the person. They come and have the people get out, they throw the person out of the country, you graduate number one from your college, and there's no way of guaranteeing, I guess you could say, there's no way of guaranteeing that they're able to stay in the country. Howard, maybe you'll give a little description of the Trump Gold Card, please.
Sure. So for an individual, it's $1 million, and for a corporation, it's $2 million. And as the president said, for a corporation, they spend $2 million. They can then have an employee, full vetting, the best vetting the government has ever done, $15,000 vetting to make sure these people absolutely qualify to be in America, absolutely qualify. And then the company can keep them here, and they have a path to citizenship, right? Obviously, they have to be perfect people in America, and having passed the vetting, after 5 years, they'll be available to become citizens, and then the corporation can put someone else on the card. So for a company, they can keep putting people on the card, one person per card, and for an individual, it's $1 million, and it's a gift to the United States of America to help America be great again under Donald Trump.
And it's really two gifts. It's a gift of getting somebody great coming into our country, because we think these will be some tremendous people that wouldn't be allowed to stay. You know, they graduate from college, they have to go back to India, they have to go back to China, they have to go back to France, they have to go back to wherever they came from. Very hard to stay. It's a shame. It's ridiculous things. We're taking care of that. The companies are going to be very happy. I know Apple's going to be happy, but a lot of the companies, nobody talked to me more about it than Tim Cook. He said it's a real problem, and it's not going to be a problem anymore. As you know, they used to send people up to Canada and other places, other countries, so we solved that. And the other thing is it'll take in, we think, probably billions of dollars that will go to the Treasury of the United States, that will go to an account where we can do things positive for the country. So it'll be a great thing. We'll take in, I think, billions of dollars. Many billions of dollars, even. So that's very exciting. The Trump accounts are doing really well. We have a man on my right, Michael Dell, who's an extraordinary person. His wife is even more extraordinary. I think I can say that. They have such a good relationship. You know, like she's an extraordinary person, absolutely, right? Got a great wife. But they're two great people. And as you know, last week, Michael contributed $6,250,000,000. And this is just something that's so special. So many people are in love with that. He understood it right from the beginning. It was his idea, and he understood it right from the beginning. Could you give maybe just a little description of why you loved it for such a long period of time? And we were able to get it through the great big beautiful bill, basically. That's how, what gave us the authorization to do it. Michael, please.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So, when we first heard about this idea, the idea was that the government would give $1,000 to a newborn baby
Right.
in an account that they would own, and it would go in essentially the S&P 500 and compound. And when the child becomes 18, they could use that money to go to college, to buy a home, to start a business, to continue saving. And I thought that was a great idea. I thought that'd be great if companies matched the government's contribution, which we're doing. A lot of the companies around the table have committed to doing that. And also thought about this is, wow, this is going to be like a platform for families and communities and philanthropists to contribute to those accounts. And so we originally started with the idea of, well, what if we gave some money to all the kids in our home state of Texas, right? We thought that would be a nice thing to do.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, it is. 1 out of 10 new kids in America are born in Texas.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Happen to be a fan of the state of Texas. But anyway, we thought about it some more, and we thought, this is going to be something really special. We have a foundation. It focuses on children. It's been around for 26 years, and we said, well, why don't we go bigger? And so we talked about it, and now that the Investment America Act is a law, which that in itself is a incredible thing that occurred. It does create a platform, and we were super happy to announce that we would give $250. We arrived at $250 because next year will be the 250th birthday of America and 25 million children. We thought that was a nice thing to do because it would include most of the children that are 10 and under, that are not part of the government program, that live in zip codes where the median income is less than $150,000. And that was also an important part of our contribution. And I do believe there will be a number of other large gifts announced. I've already spoken with a few that will be announcing gifts at the state level,
Right.
and more to come.
Yeah. It's amazing, and it's amazing the vision you have, but that's why you're so successful, frankly. And to think that Michael started off with not a lot of money, I would say, right? Not too much, like very little. And he can give a gift of $6,250,000,000, and I know he said he's going to do a lot more. It's pretty amazing. It's really a beautiful thing to watch. So great for our country. So we have the Trump accounts are doing really well, and it's become, I have to tell you, just everyone's talking about them, beyond what I would have even thought. And it's going to make some young people relatively very wealthy. And in some cases, I mean, they could really be off to a great start. So some people have had that advantage and some people haven't, but it's a wonderful thing. Thank you to you and your beautiful wife. Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to welcome so many brilliant minds and distinguished business leaders back to the White House. I love these brilliant minds, including Michael Dell of Dell Technologies, who makes a great product. And I want to thank him for what he's done, what we just discussed, the accounts. We also are grateful to be joined by Enrique Lores of HP. So thank you very much, Enrique. Great job you're doing. Antonio Neri of HP Enterprise. Thank you very much. What's the difference between HP and HP Enterprise?
We focus on the cloud security, networking, and large systems.
The cloud's good. People have done very well with the cloud. That's great. Arvind Krishna of IBM, who's actually become, I would say, a legend. The job he's done. He's taken the stock from a rather low price to a very nice price. I won't say high because I'm sure you're going to say it's going to go up a lot more, right? So I can't say a high price. But he took IBM into a new stratosphere that nobody, I think, saw. If you go back to before when he took over the company, nobody would have even imagined that you'd be able to do what you've done. So congratulations, become a good friend. Cristiano Amon of Qualcomm, and thank you very much. Congratulations on the success.
Thank you.
I know a lot about your company. You've done amazing. And Executive Director of the Technology CEO Council, Bruce Mailman. So, thank you very much. I think that these people know each other. We're going to be talking a little bit about technology today, and we'll take a few of your questions about technology. I'm sure you probably won't have too many of those questions. You'll be asking about some other things, right, Bruce? Our administration is committed to total dominance in technology. Right now, we're leading artificial intelligence by a lot. And I think, you know, you look at what's going up, and we're writing rules, regulations. We want to keep it at the federal government level, so it's simple for the companies, very important, frankly. And I think we're pretty well committed. I spoke to some of the senators today, and I think we're committed to do that. We want to make it as simple as possible, as easy, because you're competing with some very big sources, and we want to stay number one by a lot. We're leading the world in building new data centers and new semiconductor and chip manufacturing facilities and new capacity for AI. And we're unleashing all of the forms, literally all forms of energy and natural gas and oil to clean, beautiful coal and safe, reliable nuclear power. And I'm giving them approval to, when they build these massive plants that cost $50 billion. You know, it used to be that for $50 million, you could build a nice little shopping center. But for $500 million, you could build one of the biggest, most beautiful centers. And now they're talking about $50 billion. So explain that one. These buildings are there's never been anything. There's never been anything like that. So you're all involved in that. It's pretty amazing. 1 year ago, our country was considered dead by many leaders throughout the world. And now we have what's called the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. 10 months took us. I thought it was going to take longer, Michael. I didn't think we were going to have this success this soon. We have over $18 trillion being invested. So much of it by, like you're in for a lot. What's the number that you're looking at?
150.
150 billion. That's good. I don't know, Michael. Am I allowed to ask you? You already gave 6,250,000,000. Do you have you stated a number that you're at for investment, future investment?
Well, you know, if I think about all the, you know, investment that we make with the American companies that are adding capacity, particularly around semiconductors, it's several $100 billion.
I think that's right. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It makes the 6 billion sound very, very small. That's very good. Antonio, what about you guys? What about you and Enrique? How's that going?
Well,
have you announced a number or anything?
No, I'm actually happy to share with you. Over the next few years, we're going to invest an additional $3.5 billion building secure manufacturing. We build the largest supercomputer for the United States government that supports both the DoD and DOE. So in the next 18 months, we're going to build the largest 5 supercomputers that will keep the United States ahead of the game, both in life science and AI, but also to keep ahead owning the entire stack at the national security level.
Great. Are you doing that separately? Are you doing that together or
No,
separate?
we are totally separate companies.
Totally separate. Wow.
From our side, we invest in the US around $18 billion per year. So if
Yeah.
you look at the next five,
That's
it
right.
will be close to $100 billion. And we are going to be investing in AI at the edge, not only on data centers, but how to make AI available to customers in PCs, in headsets, in devices that they will be using
Right.
every day. Which is
So it's
the
over
next
$100 billion.
Yes,
And you're doing well. HP is doing really well.
yes.
That's great.
We are competing hard with Michael, but we're doing well.
Are you direct competitors?
Yes.
That's it. It's that. That's why they're on different sides of the table, sir.
The old days would say, "Why don't you make a deal?" I guess now it's not so easy to make.
We can
deals.
have an arm wrestling match now.
Yeah,
instead of-
right. And Cristiano, you've been amazing, right? Your company with the investments. How are you doing with
We're doing
investments?
great. I think, Mr. President, you have a great decision. I think when you drove our company to continue to be innovating, and I think we're doing very good. We've been in addition to doing phones, I think we're now, our chips are going to every car company in the world, all the car companies. We're entering today robotics. There's a lot of growth in robotics and the data center. The new smart glasses going to be the future mobile devices. Industrial, I think a lot of the drive towards manufacturing the country is driving a lot of technology for smart manufacturing. We're making chips for that. So I think we're very excited. And I think, like Michael, I think the number of industries our chips are being enabling is driving hundreds of billions of dollar investments. And most important for us, semiconductor manufacturing is very important. So we are going to be customer of the fabs that are being built in the United States by TSMC and Samsung. So we're just going to keep going forward.
Yeah, those investments are very important, and we are all customers of those fabs.
Those two are my customers too. So
Memory stuff, memory?
we don't do memory. We do a lot of the processing.
Who's the king of memory?
It's Micron and
Micron's-
SK Hynix. And
Micron's
Samsung.
another one doing very well. That's great. Yeah, I heard you're doing fantastically. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The stock market has set a 51, think of this, 51 all-time record highs during the last 10 months. 51. You guys are big beneficiaries. You're setting the records, right? It's amazing. 51 times we've hit a new high. And in the history of our country, if you think about it, 51 times during the last 10 months. And Bruce, let me ask you pull these people all together. How's it looking for technology?
A lot of global competition, but you'd rather be playing our hand than any other hand in the world.
I think so. We have a good hand right now, don't we? Joe Biden secured just really much less than $1 trillion of new investments in 4 years. And in 10 months, we secured more than $18 trillion. So 18 times the amount in 10 months what they did in 4 years. And they would have gone negative. They were heading toward negative. In other words, not $1 trillion, but it could have been 3 or 4 or 5 trillion less because people were leaving. So it was a big turnaround. In 10 months, the $18 trillion, it's a record. There's never been a country that's gotten anywhere near that. In the Middle East, when I left the Middle East, we brought back $3 trillion and lots of Boeing airplanes, like 300. And Boeing gave me the award for the greatest salesman in the history of Boeing, which was a nice little award, every little plaque. The greatest, I think I've sold 1,000 Boeing planes, can you believe it? Now all they have to do is make them, okay? They gotta make them, but they will. But we have made historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Japan, the EU, Malaysia, Cambodia, El Salvador, Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Thailand, and South Korea, and many others. And a lot of it's based on the November 5th election result, which was a massive victory. We won all 7 swing states, the popular vote. We won the Electoral College by a landslide. We won counties. The counties, they do it. I don't know, to me it's the most accurate of all in many ways. We're 2,700 counties against 525. That's pretty good, right, Cristiano?
Pretty good.
2,700 against 525. 525. That's why when you see the maps are all red, except for two little blue lines on the right and the left side of the map. They're probably changing too. Americans are great builders, and in the Trump administration, America is once again a country where innovators get a green light. You have the greatest innovators in the world at this table, and representing a lot of their friends who are competitors and friends. But we're really on a big move to get rid of red tape so they can run their businesses and not have to wait 10 years for an approval. In the old days, getting some of these approvals for plants that are already being built would have taken 10, 15, even 20 years prior to rejection. You'd get rejected. You'd work 20 years and then you'd lose 5 to 4. And we're getting plants approved in a matter of weeks. The biggest plants ever built in a matter of weeks. For every new regulation, we're slashing more than 10 old regulations. So we're not allowing regulations unless they slash 10 old regulations. We did that in the first term, and we cut more regulation than any administration ever. in our first term, we have the all-time record. I think we're exceeding it here. In fact, now it's 1 in 24 is the number we're at. It's 1 in 10 you have to do, otherwise we're not letting you do it. But we're actually up to 1 in 24, so we get rid of 24 regulations for everyone. That's not a bad deal, right? And it's been very exciting, actually. But including, we're allowing 100 in the great big beautiful deal. We're allowing 100% expensing for capital expenditures, including investments in factories and equipment and structure. So, including even structure. So that if Michael goes out and builds a factory, you can take it against tax immediately, the whole thing. You don't have to wait 38 years or do it over a 38-year period. And I think that's what made the first tax cut, which we, by the way, got extended in this tax cut. So, and you add it up, it's the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. But I think that the expensing factor, and it's good for 10 years too, I think that's the, maybe was the reason that so much growth was, there were other reasons, but so much growth was gotten in the first term. So earlier this year I said that the challenges of our time demand a new spirit of patriotism and national loyalty in Silicon Valley, smart people, and from the whole technology sector, and that patriotism is on huge display here in this room with some of the most brilliant people. And I'd now like to ask Secretary Howard Lutnick to say a few words, and OSTP Director Michael Kratsios also say a few words. And I look forward to hearing from Michael a little bit about this subject. Cristiano, welcome. And Arvind, you'll say something, and I appreciate it. And anybody else wants to say a couple of words, feel free. Good job. So why don't we start with Howard, please.
So the key to America's success is the amazing innovators that we have. I mean, we have invented everything from the light bulb, transistor, GPUs. We are on the edge of everything. And we need to keep being on the edge. And the people at this table and this industry is why America's great. We need to build here. You know, for too many years, we innovated and we let everyone else build our stuff. And we just can't do it anymore. So with President Trump coming and winning the election on November 5th, we changed that, and now we're going to build it here. You've done everything you can, and you've heard trillions and trillions of dollars of technology build coming home to America to protect and defend us and use our innovations here. You're driving interest rates lower, and you're going to continue to drive them lower. That makes it cheaper. It makes it more exciting to build here. You're blowing out the regulatory deep state so that people can build here and do it fast. And the last thing is, because of our investment in energy, we're going to drive down the cost of energy for all Americans, including the people who are building here. Drive down the cost of energy. It's great for America. Put all of that together, and you're going to see the greatest growth the United States of America has ever seen. You're going to see north of 4% next year, and then it's going to go up from there to 5s and 6s. This president's going to drive the greatest GDP growth, led by the tech sector coming home and driving growth.
Well, thank you. You know, one of the things I'd like to say just before going over to Michael, and this Michael, and then we'll have this Michael, all right? But one of the things I'd like to say is, in the old days, when you announced really good results in this country, the stock market went up. And that's the way it should be. And we're going back to that. Because otherwise you can never really attain true greatness. In other words, GDP at 4. Oh, 4 is so high. Let's raise interest rates and kill it. And we're going to go back to the old days. When we announce great results, it doesn't mean we're going to raise interest rates and try and kill it. It means that instead of 4% GDP or 3%, which I said so wonderful, 3%, it should be able to be 20 or 25%. I don't know why it can't be. You shouldn't kill it. And so we hope that if this country announces great results, because you're going to see great results over the next couple of years, all these plants, and I'm not just talking about AI, we have the biggest number of auto plants planned. Toyota just announced $10 billion in plants built, various couple of locations, few locations in the country, just a little while ago. They're all coming here. They're coming here because of tariffs, because they don't want to pay tariffs, but they're coming here because of the election and the mindset. But when we announce good results, the market should go up. Now it's when you announce good results, Michael, the market goes down because they say, oh, that means things are good. That means we're going to kill it by raising interest rates. I think it's really wrong. It should be the opposite of what it is now. It should be the way it used to be. We announce good results, the market should go up, and we should keep driving it up and have it keep going up and let it be much, much bigger, much, much better. And, growth doesn't mean inflation. They're always afraid that, and if there is inflation, that's okay, then we can slow it down. But we should be able to do a lot better than 3 and 4. We're scheduled to be at 4%, which is pretty amazing because we have a deadhead Fed hair. I mean, this guy, the head of the Federal Reserve is a stiff. And, you fight that. It's amazing. We fight that, and yet interest rates are going down, except with him, not too much. He did a rather small number that could have been doubled, at least doubled. And that's the other thing. I think the rates for the United States are always the lowest in the world, because without us, there is no world. Without this economy, there's no world. You could go to some of these wonderful countries that you think are so great. Well, one of the reasons they're great is because we allowed them to get rich off of us. We didn't charge them anything. You look at some of the deals, I don't want to use Switzerland as an example, but Switzerland paid almost nothing in terms of a tariff or a tax or whatever you want to call it, license. They paid nothing, and they're paying now. They're paying a fair amount. I had them at 39%, but I decided to be nice. I was nice, and I think they like us a little bit better. But the money you're talking about is enormous. Our country is a very rich country. But if we do well, the market should go up and the value of our country should go up. And if we do poorly, the market then should go down. It shouldn't be the opposite. And if we go up, we should encourage it to go up more. And those numbers, when you say, 3% of GDP or 4% of GDP, they should be much higher. So, I've wanted to say it. I do say it. I believe it. And we have to get a mindset that when a country's doing well, you don't want to kill the growth. That's what they're doing. They kill the growth. I don't know if you guys even agree with that. They kill the growth because they're so afraid of inflation. But you can have tremendous growth without inflation. Everything goes up with the growth. But that's not inflation. So I think we can do much better than traditional numbers. And you see that. You see that with what we're doing. We're leading in everything. And now, and remember this, as far as prices are concerned, and they talk about affordability, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say it was 48 years, but I say it was the history. What difference? It's 48 years, they were telling me. And they said I was being inaccurate because I said the history. I think 48 years is a long time, but it's actually, I disagree. I think it's the history. So in the Biden administration, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, or 48 years. And prices were very, very high. I brought the prices down. We had yesterday 3 states where oil was at $1.99 a gallon. How about that? And with these guys, it was $4, $4.50. In California, it was like $7 because that's a badly run state. But the price for oil and gas and everything else, the price of gasoline was $4.50, $5. And we just hit $1, and we broke $2. I was looking forward to that. Couple of states, 3 states. And I will say that when that happens, oil and gas and energy is so big, it's so big a category, you don't even know what number 2 is. There is no number 2. And when you have the prices coming down for energy like that, you've killed inflation, and you're lowering prices. So I inherited, very simply, the highest prices in history, and I'm bringing them down really fast, led by energy. And when energy comes down, everything else comes down. But I've only been here a short while. We gave them a beautiful, beautiful thing, and they destroyed it. They would have destroyed our country had they been allowed to stay. If they If we didn't win this election, if we had Kamala, who's the same as Joe, low IQ people, but if we had Kamala, as you would have a country that would be right now in ruins. I believe that 100%. Things would be in a state like nobody's ever seen before, worse than anything you've ever imagined, worse than 1929, in my opinion. Instead, we have the hottest country in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. But just to finish, we inherited high prices. We're bringing them down very rapidly, and we're bringing them down to very, very good levels. They'll soon be down at very good levels. Michael, please go ahead.
Absolutely. As everyone in this room probably knows very well, leadership in science and technology has been foundational to our economic and national security for decades. And because of the policies that you have championed and the private sector partnerships that you have made, America currently is leading the world in S&T, and it's benefiting all Americans every day. The one thing that I want to remind this group of, and many of you know, the president has been arguing for American leadership in AI well before ChatGPT was even invented. The president signed an executive order on artificial intelligence leadership in 2019, which set the stage for the revolution that we're seeing today. In the past year, we've built on that. We signed out the AI Action Plan in July of this year, which the president launched here in Washington, along with 3 EOs. And I know a lot of that effort is around creating a regulatory environment to allow for companies like yours to thrive and for the applications that you build to have the biggest impact on Americans every day. So thank you for everything that you do, and I know we're going to keep working together to make sure that America is the home for the next great technological discoveries.
All right, thank you, Michael. And Michael?
Thank you, sir. Well, look, we greatly appreciate the focus the administration has on lowering energy costs. And energy is the substrate of manufacturing at the industrial level, and really an incredibly important input to the economy. We can't be competitive without a super low cost energy industry. And had a great meeting earlier today with Secretary Wright, and really appreciate all the work that he's been doing. This is, of course, incredibly important when it comes to AI, because it does consume a great deal of power. All the semiconductor manufacturing consumes a great deal of power. Another big area of focus for us is how we can take all this great AI technology, the AI stack of the innovative companies here in the United States, and sell that around the world. And I'd like to ask Arvind to speak a little bit more about this. Arvind?
Thank you. So, Mr. President, first, we really would like to thank you for everything you're doing for economic growth, as you said. I completely agree with you. Economic growth then drives a lot of other benefits to everything else. We also want to thank you for all the work you're doing on deregulation and making things easier for business to participate in that growth. Michael spoke of the AI stack. It's incredibly important that under the action plans that you have laid out and Michael Kratzer just spoke of, we really help promote the AI stack, which is not semiconductors only. Those are incredibly important, but it's semiconductors, it's software, it's the systems which many of us here build, and it is the software applications on top. The ability to take those to all our friends in countries, so all the friendly countries, is going to be very, very important. And we wish to work with your government to make sure that we can do that, because otherwise we're afraid that competing countries are going to be able to get that stack. So we would say that.
Anything that you're looking at that we can help you with so that you create a bigger and better IBM and hire a lot more people? Anything you need?
A few countries, we'll speak to members of your administration to make sure that those can go and that barriers get lowered for being able to do it quickly. We agree guardrails are necessary, but lower barriers would be very, very helpful.
You mean tariffs?
No.
Because are these countries are they tariffing you any, making your life difficult? Are they doing anything else to make your life difficult?
It's the ability to take certain systems which have semiconductors inside them into these countries. So right now, because we have controls on where all the semiconductors can go, then the entire system is restricted. That's what we want to do. The same as
How many countries do that?
Probably a half dozen. So
I can tell you the countries already, I know.
yes,
I know every country very well.
and
We have ways of combating that quickly, so you'll let me know.
And the last part I'd like to say is I'd also like to thank you for all that you're doing to help modernize government itself, because we think that that's incredibly important. You know, you made a number of announcements, but a couple that I'd just like to point out, we worked with Commissioner Frank Bisignano to help make Social Security better. So I would like to thank you for your help on that.
Good.
And we'll work with him on making IRS.
He's done a fantastic job.
He is. Frank's great.
He's done a great job, Frank. He's had a great career, actually left a tremendous career where his salary, I think, was 100 times greater than it is now. And he was at JP Morgan Chase, and he's doing a fantastic, he did a great job at Social Security, quickly.
And we hope to help him replicate that now at the IRS also.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good job. Cristiano, please.
Yes, just a few points. I think, first of all, Mr. President, thank you for your vision. I think, thank you for understanding the importance of the American private sector in industry, I think, and the growth of the economy. I want to just build on some of the things that were said by my colleagues. I think we have built probably one of the most advanced technologies in the world, and part of it is because I think the commitment to innovation that we have in the country, but also the fact that it has been American technology for the world. So I think we have an incredible opportunity. When I think about what Michael said about exporting AI, I had conversation with Secretary Howard. Now that the trade deal's been made, is an opportunity to really build on those trade deals and export, I think, American technology. And also, as we think about the technology, it's an important vector to drive the reindustrialization, I think, of the country with technology. So we're incredibly excited about that. I think it's a big opportunity. I think it's the next wave of growth that we can build on those trade agreements. And I think it resonates what also Arvind said about the importance of the American technology stack. And then we're just going to finish with 2 points. There are 2 exciting things happening in the world of technology coming right now. One is as AI become the new form of computing, AI is going not only to the data center, but to everything, to cars, to PCs. And we see now the ability to run models that you can only run AI in the data center. You can run that on a microcomputer, on a computer for Enrique, on a server, with small server on premise. So I think we're going to see the proliferation of AI. The other one is 6G. We had made commitment working with your administration, working with FCC. We're going to accelerate 6G. We're working to have a launch first in the world in the LA Olympics. And I think that's another opportunity for America to lead in the next wireless evolution. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the partnership. And we're going to be hard at work, I think, driving that agenda.
So we're into 6G now. I just finished 5G. I was a leader on 5G, getting that done. And now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, well, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
It's coming.
Does it ever end? And what happens? You'll be into 7, right? Before 6 gets old, you'll be into 7. Anybody have anything else to say? Anybody?
I think the other thing is we want to thank you as well for the openness of your organization and your team. We always find people that wants to hear what we need and is willing to design programs that will support us. So thank you for.
Well, we're here to serve you. We want you to just dominate the whole world in terms of what you do. It's a very important world, and you're doing that. We're making it easy for you, and that means you're going to do it faster. It's more jobs, and a lot of good things happen, right? Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, you may not recall, but in your first term, you actually sponsored the Department of Energy to build the largest systems ever built. And thanks to your sponsorship, the Department of Energy owns the 3 top supercomputers in the world,
Yep.
and we build them with them. And these are systems that can do quintillion operations per second. And that means we can solve
I know, I
a lot
remember.
of,
We made that possible.
a lot of
It's worked out very well. Good.
solve problems. So I know we're going to build the next generation again.
Good. Sounds good to me. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, thank you. Can you explain a little more about this Venezuelan oil tanker and share a little more information?
Well, I'll let the people do it, but you see the result, and I guess they probably have released the pictures by now or pretty soon. You'll discuss that with the appropriate people later on, but no, it was seized for a very good reason.
Mr. President, it's not about Cuba.
Sir, there's a new proposal from DHS that would see tourists from a lot of countries have to hand over 5 years of social media history to get a tourist visa. Are you concerned at all that if that's implemented, there would be a decline in tourism next year? And what sort of material do you think is...
We're doing so well. We just want people to come over here and safe. We want safety, we want security, we want to make sure we're not letting the wrong people come into our country. We're getting rid of a lot of bad ones from jails, from mental institutions, drug dealers. And we're getting a lot of bad people, murderers. 11,888 murderers, half of them, almost exactly half of them, committed more than one murder. We're getting rid of them. In some cases, we don't even want to get them out. We put them in jail because we're afraid they're going to come back into our country. We're not going to let them back in. So we've taken a very tough stand. And you see where we've been, like Washington, D.C. now, people walk down the streets. They go into restaurants at night. It's beautiful. It's like this beautiful thing to see because until I got here, this was a very, very bad place. We had a terrible thing happen 2 weeks ago with terrorism with regard to 2 National Guards people that are so phenomenal. One is no longer with us, and one, amazingly, we weren't looking with great hope on that, you know, that Andrew. And today he got out of bed, actually, stood up, didn't say anything. It's a little early, but the chances of Andrew, other than his mother who said, nope, he's going to be okay. His mother was the most positive person. And could be that she'll be right. It's pretty amazing. Made progress. It was, both of them were so badly hurt, we never thought that one could survive. So it looks like Andrew's doing pretty well.
Mr. President.
The winner of the Nobel Prize dedicated the prize to you, the Nobel Peace Prize, and she left Venezuela at a great risk to make it to the ceremony. There is a risk she could be arrested, actually. What would happen if she's arrested? What message do you send, or would you send to Nicolas Maduro?
Well, arrested by who? The Nobel Prize Committee? That's probably the ones that would arrest. I don't know anything about it. She was very gracious. She said I should have gotten the Nobel Prize, and I don't, you know, I mean, I'm doing this to save lives. I'm not doing it for any other reason. But no, I don't like if she would be arrested. No, I wouldn't be happy with that.
Mr. President,
Senate Republicans currently have a healthcare proposal that would take away, let those ACA subsidies expire and then put about $1,000 in people's HSAs. Do you think that is enough money, and how do you ensure that people who will see those tax subsidies expire won't see their healthcare costs skyrocket?
Well, the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, they call it now the unaffordable because it's unaffordable. It used to be called the affordable, but it was never affordable. It was always bad. It was basically designed for the benefit of insurance companies. And what we're doing is we want all of the billions and billions of dollars that went to insurance companies to go directly to the people, and they can buy their own health care. And people love it. I don't know if the Democrats are going to approve it because they want the insurance companies to make money. It was a scam. Obamacare was a scam. But we're going to see. I mean, the Republicans, I can tell you, want the money to go to the people. And we're winning that battle. The Democrats are having a hard time with it because they're in the pocket of the insurance companies. Yes, please.
You spoke to some European leaders today, I think, sir, about Ukraine.
I did.
Could you tell us about that? And is there a new revised peace plan that Ukraine has presented?
Yeah. The leaders of France, we spoke to, and Germany, and UK, all very good leaders, very good friends of mine, and we discussed Ukraine in pretty strong words. And we'll see what happens. I mean, we're waiting to hear answers before we progress. You know, we're not spending any money in Ukraine. We're selling basically missiles and everything else to NATO. and NATO's paying us, and then they distribute it to who they want. I guess they're mostly distributing to Ukraine, but we're not spending money. But you know what we are? We're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort, because last month 27,000 soldiers were killed. Both, think of it, 27,000. That's, if you take a football game and take half the stadium, that's 27,000. So 27,000 soldiers were killed. Russian and Ukrainian soldiers were killed. And I want to see that stop. We'll find out. Look, there are a lot of things happening right now. A lot of people say it's closer than it's ever been. It's a war that would have never started. If I were president, would have never started. It's a war that should never have started. But we'll have it figured out, I think, within a pretty short
When you say very strong terms, sir, could you explain that?
Well, I think we had some little disputes about people, and we're going to see how it turns out. And we said before we go to a meeting, we want to know some things. You know, they would like us to go to a meeting over the weekend in Europe, and we'll make a determination depending on what they come back with. We don't want to be wasting time. Sometimes you have to let people fight it out, and sometimes you don't. But the problem with letting people fight it out is you're losing thousands of people a week. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Mr. President, two questions. One, the oil tanker. Who owns that oil tanker?
You'll get that information later.
Okay, and have you spoken to Maduro since your last conversation?
No.
Or has it only been one conversation?
No.
And when you say that the European leaders want to have a meeting over the weekend, are you talking about with Zelensky or with them?
With Zelensky and us.
And you said in an interview yesterday that you think it's time for Zelensky to start accepting things. What things are you talking about?
I think he has to be realistic, and I do wonder about, how long is it going to be till they have an election? It's a democracy. It's a long time. They haven't had an election in a long time. It's losing a lot of people, and it's possible that the people, if you look at the polls, I will say 82%, there was a poll that came out, 82% of the people are demanding a settlement be made, Ukrainian people. They want to see a settlement be made. I understand that. They're losing thousands and thousands of people a week. They want to see it ended. And I do say, at what point, when do they have an election in Ukraine? That's not casting dispersions on anybody, but they do have a massive corruption situation going on there. And they do say, when are they, people are asking this question, when do they have an election? Are they going to have an election? Or are they going to just keep it going like this? So I think it's time to get that war settled. And I think it's a war that can be settled. But it takes two to tango.
Mr. President, it's not about the new owners of Warner Brothers Discovery to make changes at CNN, big changes, and have you spoken to Jared about it? What are you doing with him, or are you just sort of wall him off a little bit?
So what do you want to know?
What changes do you want to see at CNN under new ownership?
Well, I'm not involved in that. I will be probably involved, maybe involved in the decision. It depends. You have some good companies bidding on it. I think the people that have run CNN for the last long period of time are a disgrace. I think it's imperative that CNN be sold, because you certainly wouldn't want to put people, just leave those people with some money, good money, and CNN, so that they can spend even more money spreading poison, because it's lies. It's a disgrace. So I wouldn't want to see the same company end up with CNN, the same company with money, because right now they don't have too much money, but they have value, I guess, based on the bids. So they've got value. But I think CNN should be sold, because I think the people that are running CNN right now are either corrupt or incompetent.
And that'll be a factor in the decision making, because we've got some.
Well, in my mind, but I can be talked out of that by some very talented people that we have, antitrust people. But I just think that the people that have run CNN into the ground, by the way, nobody watches, very few people watch. I don't think they should be entrusted with running CNN any longer. So I think any deal should be guaranteed and certain that CNN is part of it, or sold separately. But I don't think the people that are running that company right now and running CNN, which is a very dishonest group of people, I don't think that should be allowed to continue. I think CNN should be sold along with everything else.
Sir, you spoke about affordability earlier in your remarks and yesterday in Pennsylvania. How much more can we expect to see you on the road kind of delivering that message? And are you worried at all about the Democrats winning a couple more things in Miami and Georgia?
I don't worry about it. You know, it's like statistically, it's amazing when you win the presidency, even if you win by a landslide like we did, and even if you do a good job. And some people say we've done the best opening 10 months in history, you know, in the history of the presidency. I think we have. Who's done better? We ended 8 wars. We have the strongest economy. We have $18 trillion coming in, which is more than any country had, times I think 5 or 6. 18 trillion is a lot even in your standard, right?
Yes, sir.
Even for that guy, 18 trillion is big numbers. But we have $18 trillion coming in. Pretty amazing, right? I think Qualcomm would be very impressed if they had even a little piece of that. So we've done a great job. But for whatever reason, and nobody's been able to give me an answer, when you win the presidency, you seem to lose the midterms, even if you win the presidency by a lot and you do a great job as president. You know, some presidents have done good, and they've lost. I think it's like 2 times in the last many, many years it's been won. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Usually I can figure things out, but I don't know why, but that seems to be. But other than that, we should win because we're doing great. The economy is roaring. I think the economy is only going to go, better with all this money pouring in. We have factories being built, and forget about AI. We have AI more than anybody. We're leading AI by a lot. But we have many car companies coming in from Canada, from Mexico. They're coming in from Mexico. They're coming in from Canada, from Japan, from Europe, all over Europe, Germany, all over Europe. We're doing great. But for whatever reason, it doesn't matter how well they're doing, good and bad. The bad you understand, but even when a president is doing well, they seem to not do well in the midterms. So we're going to try and change it. There should be no reason for it. If anybody at the table can figure out, Bruce, a nice psychological reason, but so I want to win, and winning the midterms is important. People want us to win the midterms, and I think we have great spirit. We should win the midterms, yeah.
Under Joe Biden's administration, during COVID specifically, Biden removed the safety standards on abortion drugs. Now I'm hearing from a lot of pro-lifers that they're very anxious because yesterday Bloomberg reported that your FDA is slow walking a review of the abortion drugs that Secretary Kennedy promised.
Yeah,
How
I don't
soon
know.
do you want to see that?
I'll find out. I'll ask them.
Do you want to see it?
I don't think they're slow walking anything, but I'll find out. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Any update on the clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, sir?
Yeah, I think I'll have to make a phone call. I was going to say that the Thailand and Cambodia, one of the 8 that I settled, they've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for a very long time, many, many, many decades. But I got along great with both. I found they were 2 great leaders, 2 great people, and I settled it once. I think I can do it pretty quickly. I think we're scheduling a phone call tomorrow.
Mr. President.
With Thailand.
On the Fed chair.
With Thailand, if you just to answer, Steve, with Thailand and Cambodia, I think I can get them to stop fighting. Who else can do that? Think of it. Settled 8 wars. Every once in a while, one will flame up again, and I have to put out that little flame. I have to put it out, but we're going to put it out again. So I think I'm scheduled to speak to them tomorrow and see if I can. It was unfortunate what happened. I mean, I know exactly what happened. It got it started a little bit, but we'll see if we can put it out.
We're interested in the Seizure, this tanker. What happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going? Was it going
Follow
to
it.
China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're
Cuba?
I assume we're going to keep the oil.
Mr. President, on Fed Chair, Kevin Haskett said you were going to announce your decision within the next 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Maybe.
Are you doing your interviews with finalists today?
Well, I'm meeting with Kevin Warsh today, so I'm meeting with him, and I sort of have a very good idea what I'm looking for. Again, I'm looking for somebody that will be honest with interest rates. That's all. I just want honesty. Our rate should be much lower. Our rate should be the lowest rates in the world. Because all these countries that you see, you know, with low rates, many of them are low because of us, because they suck so much money out of us. But that's not happening anymore. We should have the lowest rates in the world. And without us, none of them really exist as an economy. I mean, I can show you these really prime, really wonderful countries. They've had nothing but success. It's because they took so much out of the United States. I mean, it's one of those little problems. I want to see that when we do well, we're rewarded for doing well, not the way it's been for the last pretty long period of time.
Are you asking for finalists to pledge to lower rates? Are you asking these finalists to pledge to lower rates if they become the chair?
No, I'll be asking questions and I'll be able to figure it out.
Mr. President, we have 3 countries sending drugs to the U.S., Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And you talked to the president of Mexico, you already talked to Nicolas Maduro. Have you considered talking to the president of Colombia, whom you call a drug dealer?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States, and I haven't given him a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next. Yes,
Mr. President.
Because we don't like people when they kill people, and they sell drugs. They kill them in the United States, and Colombia is a major manufacturer of drugs, meaning cocaine in particular, as you know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Multiple House Republicans in recent weeks, days, have been critical of Speaker Mike Johnson. I wanted to ask you if you're still confident in the Speaker to keep his conference together ahead of the midterms, and how often are you speaking about him?
I think Mike Johnson is great. You know, he's had a majority of 2, 3, 4, then back to 2. We actually had 1. So we were 1 heart attack away from disaster. So everybody prayed for everybody's health. I think Mike Johnson's been a fantastic speaker. I mean, a very hard job because, you know, when you have a small majority, and we got the biggest bill in the history of our country approved, the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill. There are different names for it, but to me it's a Great Big Beautiful Bill because it gives the biggest tax cuts in history, the biggest regulation cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. I think Mike Johnson's been a great speaker. I think few people could have done that job.
Do you want to see another big package move through Capitol Hill in the next year, or?
Well, we don't need it because we got everything. You know, this was supposed to be 17 bills. And I think it was my idea, but, you know, with the concurrence of people that have done this a long time. And I said, why don't we make it 1 bill? Because it's very hard to get things approved by the Democrats. And it worked out because there was something good for everybody. If we would have done 17 bills, we wouldn't have gotten 1/3 of them approved. There was something great for everybody in the one, you know, the Great Big Beautiful Bill.
If I could
Brian?
follow up, yes, good to see you, Mr. President.
Hi.
I can follow up on the event last night in Pennsylvania, huge crowd turned out
Yeah,
there.
big crowd.
It seemed like Rally Trump was in prime condition last night. You enjoyed it. Can you just give me your thoughts on that? Then I do have a question on the gold card.
Last night was amazing in Pennsylvania. We had a tremendous crowd. It was like freezing. And the people, the thousands of people on the sidewalk trying to get in, or the streets. It was an amazing evening, actually, and I think people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. You could tell that.
I can tell that you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I really did. Well, you know, it's easy to enjoy when you do a good job, and, you know, when you can talk about things in a very positive way. It's hard not to say it. We have potentially the greatest economic boom in the history of the world. It's being built right now. And when it opens, there will be nothing ever in history like what's happening in our country. And, you know, Washington, D.C. is safe, and Memphis is now. Look at Memphis. Crime is down 60% in Memphis. We just got there 3 weeks ago. And we're going to have New Orleans. New Orleans was we just sent a group of people there, and crime is down 28% in about 3 days. No, we do a good job, you know, and these are central casting people. These people they're very tough people if they have to be. They're very good, they're great patriots, but they are the toughest. And They don't take any nonsense. And every place we go, we knock down crime. Too bad that we're not invited more into Chicago, because we could save Chicago very quickly. But even that, we're doing it on a minimal basis until, at some point we'll just go in and do what we have to do if the governor doesn't wise up. We got a bad governor, they have a bad mayor. I would say they're both incompetent, but it's hard to believe that people don't want to stop crime. We could stop the crime in Chicago in about 2 weeks. Go ahead.
My question is on the gold card. I apologize if I missed the answer to this. Is there a limit to how many gold cards these companies can buy?
Howard?
So the program is part of the already approved visas. So we're just going to have great people come into this country. The average green card holder earned less than the average American. So they were more likely to be on the dole and be on our assistance programs than average Americans. And the idea is from President Trump, he wants to raise it, bring in the best people into America. So same visas, but now just full of the best people.
Basically, it's a green card, but much better, much more powerful, a much stronger path. And a path is a big deal. Have to be great people, but much stronger path. And it also, in addition to that, helps companies, because not only for companies, but if IBM gets somebody #1 in his class at the Wharton School of Finance, and you're dying to get the person, but you can't guarantee the person stays in the country, because oftentimes they'll say, I'm sorry, sir, you got to get out of here, you have 24 hours, right? And you say, where's my employee? Now IBM can buy a card, and that employee can be there for essentially a very long period of time.
Mr. President,
It's so needed for the companies. It's needed for others, but really it's basically a much better form of a green card. And you can't get green cards. They are impossible to get. This is much better than a green card. Yeah.
Yes, so did you tell Bruce Blakeman not to run for governor, or that she should think about not running for governor?
I haven't spoken to, first of all, he's a friend, she's a friend. These are two great people running. In a way, I hate to see them running against each other. I hope they're not going to be damaging each other. But Elisa's fantastic, and Bruce is, they're two fantastic people. And I always hate it when two very good friends of mine are running. And I hope there's not a lot of damage done. Sometimes it works the other way. The victor ends up being much stronger because of it. A lot of times that happens in politics.
You think you'll sit there in a couple of months to actually see who performs?
Well, I think in New York we have a convention toward the end of February, and I think you'll know pretty much at the end of February what's going to happen. And I'll probably have to, do what I want to do. But I hope that he's running now, as you know, and she's running. We have two very talented people. Either one should win against the Democrats.
Mr. President, every other legacy story lately focuses on one of your cabinet members predicting that you're going to fire this one or you're going to get rid of that one. Of all your cabinet members, who would you perceive as the most under attack?
Well, I think my cabinet's fantastic. I read these same stories that I'm unhappy with this one or that one, and I'm not. I think the cabinet's done a great job. I read a story that I was unhappy with Pete because he was attacking drug dealers. I said, that's not exactly right. I would say very much the opposite. Pete Hegseth has been phenomenal. I read a story recently, I'm unhappy with Christie. I'm so happy with her. I mean, we have a closed border. We have a border that's the best border in the history of our country. Why would I be unhappy? She's fantastic, actually. No, we have a fantastic cabinet. Really fantastic cabinet. I mean, Lutnick I'll have to think about. No,
Can't have everything.
Can't have everything. He's doing great. Well, Howard's done really well, and Scott's done really well. We have just a fantastic cabinet. I'll tell you who's doing a great job is Linda McMahon. We're bringing education back to the states where it belongs. Education is going, we can't do any worse than we're doing right now, and let the states run it. If you go back to some of our states that are run so well, so good, I would say 40 of them. And then you'll have trouble with 5, and you'll have bigger trouble with another 5. but you have 35 or 40 states that will run education as good as Norway or Denmark, Sweden. We have some, the heads of the list are Denmark, Norway, Sweden, a few others. I think if you go to Iowa and you go to Indiana and you go to, I can name a lot of states, I think it would be almost the equivalent or maybe better. But you can't run a school system in Iowa from Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Sir, the Gaza plan, when do you expect to announce members of the Board of Peace, the leadership of that?
Well, we'll do it early next year. And the Board of Peace are going to, it'll be one of the most legendary boards ever. Everybody wants to be on it. It's mostly going to be, I guess, we weren't thinking about it that way, but they want to all do it. Basically, it'll be the heads of the most important countries.
Mr. President.
They all want to be on. It wasn't really planned. We thought we were going to get very distinguished people that do that kind of thing for a living. But really, it looks like it's turning out to be, they want to be on the heads, the kings and the presidents, prime ministers, they all want to be on the Board of Peace.
Mr. President, on the video up to last night's rally, can you clarify, you have called the affordability crisis as a Democratic hoax, but you also want to make America affordable again?
No, the word that they use is a hoax, and because they're the ones that caused the problem. I'm talking about when you're trying to say it a different way. Now, it's pretty simple, though, if you listen. It's a hoax where they created the problem. They're the ones that gave the high prices. So when they use the word affordability, they shouldn't be using that word because they're the ones that created this problem. They created the highest inflation in history, and they created the highest prices in history. And now we have to get those things down. But when they look and they say affordability. They never discuss it. They just say the election's about affordability. Well, it may very well be. I think it's also about still the border. You have to remember the job. The sad thing is, for 7 months, we've had no people come through our border. Nobody can even believe it. 0 people. And the people that do that are largely Democrats, which the people that do the stats. We've had no people come in, other than coming in legally. But if you take a look, and nobody wants to talk about that. In fact, last night I said, let me talk about the border. My own people told me, sir, nobody cares about the border anymore. You've fixed the problem. I said, do I get a little credit for fixing a disaster where millions of people a month would flow into our country, and from prisons and from gangs and from drug dealers and mental institutions? They say, sir, you fixed the border. Nobody cares. I say, but I care. It's sad when you fix something and then you can't even use it. You can't talk about it. My own people don't want to talk about it anymore. But very simply, the Democrats created the worst crisis of inflation that this country's ever had. And with that came the highest prices that we've ever had. And I'm fixing it.
Mr. President, has Secretary Hegseth told you why he hasn't released the video of the second strike?
No, he hasn't told me. I thought that issue was dead. You're surprised you bring it up. You must be CNN.
Lawmakers are still
Are you
talking about it
CNN?
on the Hill.
Are you CNN?
I am with CNN.
Oh, gee, I'm shocked to find out.
But lawmakers are still talking about it on the Hill.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about lawmakers. Which lawmakers? You're talking about
Most of the
Democrats?
Democrats have been talking about
Democrats?
trying to release it.
I mean, the people that you work for, the Democrats? You know you work for the Democrats, don't you? You're basically an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Come on, you want to talk?
Thank you guys. Turn off the cameras. Thank you guys.
Now we got to do that again. Good evening, Marines. That's more like it. That's more like it. I have one job tonight. That's to introduce our guest of honor. But first, I get to say a couple of words to us, Marines, U.S. Marines, us Marines. I've got a prepared script, and I'm going to deviate from it, which is going to make my staff very uncomfortable. but I'm gonna wing it here in front of the Vice President. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tell one story. And it's a story that I've told before, but not too many times, because frankly, it's kind of hard to get through. But it boils down